Kamala Harris's internal polls are so bad that down ballot Democrats are dumping her. They don't want anything to do with her. They don't go to her rallies. They don't want to stand next to her. They don't want her campaigning for them. They don't even want to mention her name. Do you remember last week when Bob Casey, who's running for re-election as a Democrat senator in Pennsylvania, skipped out on Kamala Harris's rally?
Bob Casey, who could not be here tonight because he's out doing what he needs to do to get re-elected to the United States Senate.
Well, now he's released a brand new ad. And I want you to listen very carefully to this ad. Listen to what you hear, and most importantly, listen to what you don't hear in this Bob Casey ad.
Casey bucked Biden to protect fracking, and he sided with Trump to end NAFTA and put tariffs on China to stop them from cheating.
Look at that. Bob Casey supports Trump's trade order, is what that reads. Bob Casey splits with Biden over natural gas exports. There's even a photo of Donald Trump. Casey supports Trump's trade order. This is a prominent Democrat in Pennsylvania, a senator running for re-election who realizes that Kamala Harris is so poisonous to his campaign. Kamala Harris is so detrimental to his message. Kamala Harris is the worst choice for president, and that aligning yourself with Kamala Harris is the worst thing you can do. This ad mentions Kamala Harris 0 times, and it mentions Joe Biden once in the situation of Bob Casey splitting with him. He doesn't talk about Joe Biden's accomplishments. He doesn't talk about all the times he voted with Joe Biden. He goes, no, look, Pennsylvania, I'm not your typical Democrat. I'm not aligning myself with Joe Biden. In fact, I split with Joe Biden.
Casey bucked Biden to protect fracking.
Yeah.
And he sided with Trump to end NAFTA.
I bucked Biden. That's what he wants you to know. Bob Casey's out there going, look, I know I'm a Democrat, but I bucked Biden. I'm a Biden bucker. Buck Biden. That's what I say. And Donald Trump, yeah, love that guy. I sided with Donald Trump when it came to protecting the energy sector here in Pennsylvania.
Casey bucked Biden to protect fracking, and he sided with Trump to end NAFTA.
When you have Democrats taking Kamala out of the equation whatsoever, not even mentioning her, not showing her face, not going to rallies with her. When you have that happening, and on top of that, they're releasing ads paid for by the Democrat committee, National Committee, where they say we're bucking Biden because he's a mother bucker. When they say that, and then they show a photo. They show a photo of Donald Trump and say, this is the guy that I'm with. I'm Bob Casey, and I support Trump. It says it right there. Casey supports Trump. Casey supports Trump's trade order. That's a bad situation to be in if you're a Democrat. If you have to say, I bucked my own party and I signed on with Donald Trump, then that's bad news in Pennsylvania for Kamala Harris. It's not just in Pennsylvania, though. It's not just the only swing state where you're seeing this kind of separation from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's administration. Other Democrats who know that they're in trouble. There are Democrats in all these swing states, and they're petrified that Donald Trump's going to win, but they know that along with Donald Trump voters going to the polls, and along with Donald Trump voters saying, yes, I'd like to make America great again, and I want to get Joe and Kamala out of there, and I want to put Donald Trump back in the White House with J.D. Vance and Elon Musk and RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard and Vivek Ramaswamy, all these fantastic people that are going to do incredible things for our country. I want all that. They know that every single one of those Trump voters that shows up in Pennsylvania and shows up in Michigan and shows up in Wisconsin will also probably be voting down the ballot for Donald Trump's chosen candidates. And Donald Trump did not choose Bob Casey. So Bob Casey's trying to convince you that he did. Here's Tammy Baldwin's latest ad.
Tammy Baldwin got President Trump to sign her Made in America bill.
And then she got President Biden to make it permanent.
I'm Tammy Baldwin. I approve this message.
Oh, look at that. There's Donald Trump signed her bill. Look at that. Tammy Baldwin, Donald Trump, same page. Joe Biden also signed her next bill, made it permanent. Where's Kamala? It is so awful for Kamala Harris when you have Democrats down the ballot saying, I don't want anything to do with you. I'm not going to campaign with you. I'm not going to put your face in my ad. I'm not even going to mention your name. In just a minute, I'm going to share with you poll numbers that are going to make Kamala Harris feel like she's sick in the gut. Oh, and speaking of sick in the gut, did you know that there is a toxin in most quote unquote healthy foods that people have been lying to you about, and they've been showing you a fake food pyramid and telling you that this is a good thing when really it's causing detrimental health to your gut and your whole body? Well, our good friend Dr. Gundry has uncovered the true secret to enhanced gut health and weight loss. And Dr. Gundry, a world-renowned nutritionist, says that millions of people worldwide are affected by this dangerous toxin. Warning signs include weight gain and fatigue and digestive discomfort and stiff joints, even skin problems. Well, Dr. Gundry explains that the side effects of this toxin are usually attributed to aging, because digestive issues develop usually over a matter of years and sometimes even decades. I can assure you that according to Dr. Gundry, the damage is often attributed to these healthy foods, and it's far from normal. The good news is you can easily help fix the problems from your own home. It's very simple. You just have to know which foods are actually healthy and which contain the hidden potential toxin. And guess what? Dr. Gundry has recorded a video that shows you the healthy foods and the foods to avoid at all costs. How to have healthy, good gut health and lose weight naturally with real healthy foods. Now, the video can be found at the link in the description of this video. It's gutcleanseprotocol.com/MK. gutcleanseprotocol.com/MK. And after years of research, Dr. Gundry has decided to release this informational video to the public. It's free, it's uninterrupted, and it's going to show you everything you need to know and everything you most importantly need to avoid. Go watch the video. The link is in the description. The website is gutcleanseprotocol.com/MK. Let me get to the polls, because this is where it really gets tricky. And the thing about polls is, you got to always look at the polls and you've got to figure out, you got to read between the lines kind of. And, people always say to me, Mark, why don't you believe these polls? And there's a couple of reasons. First of all, I know better. Second of all, I know that there's other places where you can see what consumer confidence is looking like. And here in the 2024 election forecast on Polymarket, for example, there's not a lot of consumer confidence in Harris because the bettors, the people that place wagers, are wagering that Donald Trump is going to win. They're wagering that Donald Trump's going to win the election. They're wagering that Donald Trump's going to win pretty much every swing state at the moment except Nevada. And just to check in there, oh, look, Donald Trump now leads Nevada in the betting polls, so he may win that one as well. He may be the next Ronald Reagan. He may clean sweep all of these states and pick up a couple of others that no one even saw coming because of his fantastic policies. But the other thing you need to see about the polls is you've got to read in between the lines. And the first thing is what we saw with the political advertising. The fact that Democrats have abandoned Kamala Harris as a benefit, as an endorsement. They don't want a Kamala Harris endorsement. Again, that's poison to their campaigns. So what they've done is they've abandoned her. That's the first thing that tells me Kamala Harris is losing badly in those swing states, because all the internal polling is saying, whatever you do, don't mention Kamala Harris. The second thing is you have to watch CNN and their reporters and listen to what they're not telling you. Listen to what they're saying and then try to backtrack and say, if I felt this way, would I say this or that? And let me play you this latest clip to show you exactly what I mean. And that latest clip is here.
I rarely beg the audience for anything. I beg of you, don't read anything into any of these trends. Please, every 4 years we do the same gosh darn thing.
Okay, so right off the bat, he goes, listen, I'm here to tell you about the polls and the trends. And I beg the audience, don't read anything into this. This is the same network, by the way. This is the same guy, by the way, who when Kamala Harris first burst onto the scene, when they shoved Joe Biden out the door and they brought her in on the DNC and they made the big announcement, Kamala Harris, she's our woman. Kamala Harris, she's the best thing since sliced bread. When they made that announcement, they were all excited when the polls were for Kamala. When she was ahead, they were like, look at this. Kamala Harris has done the unthinkable. Mamala has taken over Donald Trump in just a few short weeks. Look at this. Joe Biden was so hated and now everybody loves Kamala and she's going to win the entire thing. They had no problem with you believing the polls back then. But now they're begging you, please, I beg you, don't take take these trends with a grain of salt, folks.
Look, here's the bottom line. An election day vote counts the same as an early in-person vote or a mail vote. We know from the polling and we know through history that Kamala Harris is very likely going to win that mail vote. We know the early in-person vote is going to be very, very close. A point lead in this poll. I can find a few polls, in fact, where Trump is ahead in that. But we know that Donald Trump is going to crush the election day vote.
Okay, so let's pause there for just a minute. Listen to how he brushed over the fact that the early in-person vote is basically a dead heat. And even though Kamala's winning by a point now, he goes, and it's going to be close. We know that, but I can even find polls where Donald Trump is ahead. That is a big deal because the early in-person vote never goes to the Republican. The early in-person vote never goes to the Republican candidate. It always goes to the Democrat. Democrats vote early. They count on it. Democrats have special buses that drive people around, and they go to churches and they try to find any possible way they can get you to vote early. Mail-in ballots, that's their bread and butter. We all know that. But the early in-person vote at plus 1% for Kamala Harris is a big red flag. And then he's pumping the election day vote. He goes, look, we know Donald Trump's going to crush it on election day. But the key thing that he said that I don't want you to miss is he goes, look, an election day vote counts just as much. An election day vote counts just as much as an early vote. And that's telling because that means that they are not getting the amount of early voting that they want or they thought they were going to get. And this poll shows it. They're on there now saying, look, if you want to vote on election day, that's fine. The election day vote counts just as much as the early in-person vote does. So, look, Donald Trump is going to crush it on election day. But if you haven't in-person voted yet, if you haven't early voted, you can still vote on election day. They're begging people to vote because they're not getting the early votes that they thought they were going to get. And they're trying to, don't look at these trends.
And it doesn't matter when the vote is cast. They all count the same. One vote counts for one vote, whether it's cast today or whether it is cast on November 5th, John.
And that goes for people looking at this from both sides. There's nothing magical about an election day vote versus a vote that's mailed in early. There are trends, though.
Okay, before we get to these trends, listen, there's panic in the Democrat Party. There's panic at CNN. They're looking at the early in-person voting. They're seeing these polls where Donald Trump is leading Kamala Harris in early in-person voting, where the Democrats are like, whoa, what is even happening? We're supposed to dominate all the early voting, and it's not going their way. And now they're sending CNN out there to say, look, guys, it's fine if you want to wait until election day. It counts exactly the same. That's a lie, by the way. They're lying out there to people. And I know what you're thinking. You're shocked. CNN lying about election results? CNN lying about polling? How could that possibly be? But they're trying to reverse a trend now. Remember, polls are either A, content, or B, propaganda. And CNN is a propaganda machine. What they're trying to do is use their airwaves to try to convince Democrats who have not yet gone out to vote in person that they should, that they can. You don't have to wait till election day. You can go early. And if you haven't voted, fine, go on election day. But there's nothing magical about it.